I am now joined by my former teammate and a guy that I just love to death, Boomer Grigsby, former linebacker and fullback, I forgot about, for the Kansas City Chiefs. Boomer, first and foremost, how are you doing?
Wonderful. I'm wonderful. I appreciate y'all having me on. Got the good fortune to do two positions. Probably would have been better to just be a little bit better at one.
I understand that. Okay. You were at Illinois State. You were a four-year letter winner. You just recently were inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. We'll talk about that in a minute. But, again, you were I'm not going to say overachiever, but I'm going to say it in that instance to a degree because you were more diminutive in the fact that 5'11", although 237 pounds. So just talk to me about your years in Kansas City. I know you finished in Miami, but just tell me about your time here. And obviously I was fortunate enough to be a teammate of yours for a couple of years.
Yeah, it was obviously the team that drafted me was the foundation of a professional football career that didn't last much longer than Kansas City. But it was I feel very fortunate and grateful to be drafted by the Chiefs. Being from small town in central Illinois, my family, my mother's sister lived in Kansas City. So they kind of treated this as, with the 2 preseason games and 8 regular, there was 10 more family reunions a year due to the Kansas City Chiefs drafting me. And my family made relationships tailgating and at Chiefs events in those parking lots that literally, it's been 15 years now. They've been to graduations, weddings, childbirths, just from relationships that were built with just other Chiefs fans. So it was one of the best blessings of my life was to come to Kansas City, and not only the experiences I had as a football player, but the friendships that I made.
Yeah, it was just awesome, and we had some good times. You mentioned Illinois State, as I said, 4-year letter winner. You started 40 of 44 games, 580 tackles, 41.5 tackles for a loss, 179 tackles in both your sophomore and junior year. And I think another one is interesting, as I was doing a little more research, is you were second in the Buck Buchanan voting for Division I AA Defensive Player of the Year, behind only Jared Allen, who was, of course, a teammate and I know was a good friend while you guys were here. Just talk about coming into the NFL. You're drafted in the 5th round in 2005 by the Chiefs. I'm not going to say it was an overstatement to make the team, but 5th, 6th, 7th round, for me, 11th round, we're not exactly expected to make the team. What was your mindset when you came into Kansas City?
For sure. I definitely don't think there's any guarantees when you're a 5th, 6th, 7th round draft pick. I felt relatively confident in making the team, but at the same time, there's always an insecurity in the National Football League. The whole not for long thing is real, which I learned in better detail later. But I think you get there, there's just so much energy, and all you can do is the best that you can. But, I feel like I got to play relatively well in my first preseason games that, I just kind of had a feeling that it was going to be okay. It was definitely not confident,
right?
but it was just, I just felt like I could contribute on special teams and I was going to hang around. That's you brought up the Jared angle, and I feel like I got to chime in here and tell a story since I know all Chiefs fans love Jared Allen. It was fortunate that he was with the Chiefs because I had some dealings with his agent, and he was a year ahead of me, right? So to come in there, and we'd already spoke on the phone, it's kind of like have a friend in a locker room before you're even in a locker room, or an acquaintance, to say the least. But, I'd got second the year before in the Buck Buchanan, and then I was the predicted winner the following year, and this guy out of Idaho State comes out of nowhere and has 30 sacks and 40-some tackles for a loss in a season, which is just, and a touchdown. Why don't we just throw a touchdown on there too? Which was just bizarre. He clearly won. He absolutely should have won. There's no shame in that. And then I come to Kansas City, and the first time I went to his house, he had me walk in. He's like, "Hey, we flip that light switch over there?" And I flip it. And it was just a shining light that went right down on the Buck Buchanan trophy that he took from me deservingly.
Oh, that's but for the folks who don't know, that is Jared Allen, and you two guys were close. I don't know if you stay in contact much anymore.
Sure.
But thanks. Yeah. It is crazy though. I see you've been married to a beautiful wife, and I believe 2 kids. If I remember right, one's named Bear. I forget the other. And I'm curious about this. I've enjoyed watching you. It's kind of funny with Facebook. You stay friends with people. You think you're staying in contact with all, but all you're really doing is reading and looking at pictures. But it's been really, really cool because you've parlayed, I think, your success and your mindset getting into the NFL, into being very successful in what you do now, which I believe is medical device sales. You can say the company if you like. I don't want to unless you are good with that. But all the same, I mean, it's just pretty cool. I love the fact that on your Instagram, you have insignificant former NFL player. I love the fact that I think you're very similar to me and a lot of guys, which is we don't take ourselves too seriously, do we?
For sure. I mean, I think that's just the way to be, and I think that just brings a little bit more enlightenment and humor to life. I do have 2 young boys. I do medical device sales for a company called Stryker. It's a major company in the country. I actually sell to neurosurgeons in hospitals, which is interesting because I obviously clearly still have a little bit of a football gorilla look. And I'm talking to people that graduated the 22nd grade. So I don't think that they usually see me coming or believe that I can even use a 3-syllable word. But all companies kind of tend to look for ex-athletes. I think it's just like that delayed gratification and just the competitiveness of it. You know, all sales companies find that very appealing.
Yeah, it's amazing. Again, talking with Boomer Grigsby, former Kansas City Chief, linebacker for 4 years. Boomer, I want to talk to you about the College Football Hall of Fame and you getting inducted into that. That is a big deal. And, folks, if you don't know, it is a big deal. I mean, I want to read off the list of some of the guys that you went in with. LeVar Arrington, Champ Bailey, Michael Crabtree, Kevin Falk. Boomer Grigsby is right there, of course. Marvin Jones, Andrew Luck, Zach Wiegert, Roy Williams. I mean, these, and then one local coach, Gary Pinkel. Can you talk to me about that feeling and how, I've got to believe, maybe satisfying and humbled that was?
I mean, beyond satisfying and humbling, it's somewhat difficult to describe, as much as it's a huge deal and quite the honor. And the National Football Foundation does an incredible job of putting this together over the course of an entire year. It's just the weight of it doesn't even really necessarily hit you until you kind of get around all the other guys and you see their videos and the experiences and hear about their careers. It was an incredible experience. You know, it's a unique club to be a part of that I'm so proud to have joined. And it was a humbling experience, while at the same time, you know, coming from a small school like Illinois State, I felt like I always had somewhat of a chip on my shoulder.
Yeah.
To be honest, part of it felt like a little validating in a way as well. You know, it was just incredible all around.
Okay, so let's have some fun with a few things, because, I mean, what would we be if we're not having fun? I don't know if you know, but I am a juggler, and I think that's something that many people don't realize and is a little bit unique. But you had a unique skill as well, that I think. Doesn't it have something to do with the trampoline?
That is true. My mother owned a tumbling and trampoline team, so I grew up jumping on a trampoline until the weight room kind of took over my life and football kind of became the primary focus. But so that was a big part of my childhood, was being a trampolinist.
That is awesome. Well, but I think we talked about it sometimes. You felt like some of that aided you in your body control and everything going on. Again, talking with Boomer Grigsby, former linebacker for the Kansas City Chiefs. Boomer, you mentioned that you're sales device for Stryker, medical device equipment maker, showing these signs of being hit in the head too many times. Where do you make your home these days?
I live we live in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm from Central Illinois originally. Obviously, I love home, and I love Kansas City, which we made home for several years. But really, I decided that I think you can have a bad day. I just think it's a little bit more difficult with the blue sky. So I came west for the sunshine.
That is awesome. Okay, so today's game, the Chiefs and the Raiders. The Raiders, a little bit of turmoil. I mean, living there in Vegas, have you become a Raider at all, or are we still a Chief at heart?
Well, always be a Chief at heart. You know, I mean, I think it's beautiful to live in a city. You know, I've grown up in a small town. I never lived in a place that had a professional team. And I grew up in Central Illinois, where it was kind of divided. Some people were Bears fans and some people were Rams fans at the time. So it brought a lot of excitement to the city. I mean, I will forever and always be a Chiefs fan. In fact, I can say I feel like that Las Vegas knows that Kansas City is coming, because it never rains here, and it's actually raining outside right now. And I just think the Raiders fans are just a little bit upset that Kansas City is coming to town this week.
Yeah, I'm going to say right now, the division in general for the last 7 years is never happy about Kansas City coming to their town, and that's been complete domination by Andy Reid and company, and of course, Patrick Mahomes.